Am I the asshole for snapping at my girlfriend because of her gift? I, 17 male, just had my birthday. I had gotten gifts from most of my friends and family. The worst gift was from my ex-girlfriend, 16. We've been dating for almost 2 years. Every time it's a special event, no matter what, my ex-girlfriend will not buy gifts. She will never buy cards. She always uses the excuse of she can't afford it. But she can afford gifts for her brother 5 and her sister 1. Every birthday, Valentine's Day, anniversary, she doesn't buy a gift. She instead bakes sweets, like cookies, cakes, and pastries. I like them. They taste great. But I want a gift, not some cheap food. During my party, she handed me a wrapped box. I finally thought it was going to be a gift. But oh no, it was a box of cookies and cakes. I just went off on her. She and a few other of our friends left the party taking gifts with them, which completely ruined it. She is cheap and clearly doesn't want to waste money on me. Now my friends are urging me to apologize to her, and she's ignoring me. She was the cheap one, and I don't get why she's pissed at me. Here's her comment. Oh, wow. You really think I wouldn't figure out it's you? I spend half my time on this subreddit. You know my situation, oh. I'm literally living in between homes. I don't make a lot of money, and my siblings do matter more than you. I get paid minimum wage, and I have to use that to help my dad with bills. You get 2,000 pounds worth of presents from your parents alone. You originally said you loved my cookies and cakes as gifts. At least I tried giving you stuff that I thought you'd like. You gave me a ring as a gift for my birthday, a ring that was too big and snapped in half. That was one of 2 gifts you've given me, and the other is a 3D printed slug. I should have just used those easy bake kits instead of wasting money, as you said on ingredients.
Am I wrong for refusing to pay for my gay son's tuition after he came out to his family? My 40 female son, 19 male, came out to my husband 40 male and I when he was 14 years old. My husband and I are both atheists and support the LGBTQ community, and we're both proud of our son for coming out. However, my husband's mother is a devout Catholic and is extremely intolerant of gay people. She is wealthy, and my children were told from a young age that their college would be paid for as long as they attended a private Christian or Catholic school. She believes this will keep them from partying, having premarital sex, etc. I don't agree with this and have argued my children getting the best education possible regardless of the school's religious affiliation should be her top priority, but she refuses to change her mind. My son chose a Christian college once stayed over to attend. He graduated with a lot of college credit from taking many AP classes in high school and will be done in 3 years as opposed to 4. He currently just began year 2, which has already been paid for. During Labor Day weekend, he came home to celebrate his grandma's birthday. He told one of his cousins that he was talking to a boy at his college and thought he could trust him. He seemed supportive according to my son, but he told his mom and dad, and my husband's sister and her husband are just as religious as my mother-in-law and outed my son to her. She is livid and called me and informed me that she will not be making any future payments toward his tuition and told me to relay the message to him as she will no longer be speaking to him. I have told him many times not to come out to his grandma, cousins, aunt, or uncle until he was through with college. I hate that he can't be himself, but my husband and I cannot afford his college. I do not like my mother-in-law and will be going no contact once my other 2 children, 15 and 13, get their chance to have their tuition paid for as well. My son is okay with me wanting to do so for the sake of his siblings. He will unfortunately have to take out student loans and eat the cost of his final year. My son is obviously devastated. He both will not have his final year of college paid for next year and that his cousin is not someone he can trust. He now wants me and my husband to foot the bill next year. We have $25,000 saved up currently that we plan on using for much needed kitchen renovations. Our oven barely works, our dishwasher doesn't work at all, and all of the kitchen itself is worn down and outdated. My son is calling me an asshole for prioritizing a remodel over his education. We've explained to him our kitchen is falling apart and is much needed and is nowhere near the cost of his tuition, so even if we postponed it, we would still be short as his private school is very expensive. I feel like he is an adult and he needs to be the one to deal with the consequences, not us. Am I the asshole for not using our family's savings to cover his remaining tuition?
Okay, so one thing about me is when I was 19, I'm not gonna rap, whatever. One thing about me is I was 19, I had a boyfriend, and one night he was being really weird. He came up to me, I was sitting on the couch watching Scandal, and he was like, yeah, starting like in the middle of a sentence, yeah, I'm finna go out to this party and hang out with my bros. And I'm like, okay, whatever, I don't really care because I like being by myself anyway. So he just kept checking in with me, which he never did, and he's like, oh yeah, I just wanna make sure you straight, you good, like, you have everything you need. And I'm like, this thing is being weird, whatever. So by the time he leaves out of the door, my spidey sense is tingling, and I'm like, it's another bitch. He got another bitch. It feels like another bitch. So I called up my friends and I'm like, I want to go to this party and see if this nigga is even there, because that's a great cover, right? So they're like, say less. We wanted to go anyway. So we didn't get to the party. I don't know how we got there. There was no Uber at the time, whatever. Man, I'm old. Anyway, so we got to the party. That bitch is jumping. Shawty's on the left, Shawty's on the right. I'm getting distracted. I'm like, I need to know where my nigga at. But these niggas is everywhere and they're so fine. Anyway, I digress. So we get in the party and I don't see my baby daddy nowhere. So we get in the party. I'm moving about trying to see if he's anywhere in the building. So I get to the front of the stage. This nigga is slow winding and grinding with a bitch in a red dress. So I said, oh, okay. And it wasn't like, oh, he just getting a dance from her. They obviously know each other, right? So I decided I'm going to stay in the party and peep for the rest of the time that he's there, because I want to see how he interacted with this girl. He bring her drinks. He checking on her throughout the party. I said, oh, y'all are locked in. Y'all got a thing going on. So I didn't say nothing else to him. So at the let out, he sees me and he's like, Tally. And I'm like, yeah, Tally. It's me. And he's like, how long you been here? I said, I've been here about an hour and a half or 2 hours. So he's like, oh, okay, well, I'm finna make another move with the bros. I'll see you later. No, you're finna make a move to this motherfucking car and we're gonna leave. So he's like, all right, because obviously like he realizes like he's in trouble. So we get in the car and I'm like, did you have fun? And he's like, huh? And I said, hell, you can hear, did you have a good time? And he's like, yeah, I had a good time, whatever, trying to like, get me to stop talking about it. So I said, oh, okay, cool. Like, who's the girl in the red dress? And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not an officer. You're answering this question in a really weird way. Obviously, catch up, ho. Obviously, I saw it. So I repeated it. I said, who is the girl in the red dress? She had on the gold Jessica Simpson platforms that didn't go with the red dress. And y'all were slow grinding to One Night Stand by Chris Brown and Carrie Hilson. Who is the hoe? So he was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know no girl in no red dress. So I said, do I look fucking stupid? I said, I'm cute and I'm young, but I'm not stupid. Who is the bitch? So if you ever been to Montgomery, Alabama, you went to ASU, you know there's that weird back road off Ann Street that you can use to get back to campus. There's no lights. It's very windy, very dangerous. So he said, Tally, I'm not wearing my glasses. It's very late at night. There are no lights and I can't really see. I will run this bitch off the road and people will think it was an accident. Then he said, don't ever ask me about that bitch again. And I fucking did it. To this day, the question never left my mouth. I thought he was going to unalive me. I thought he was going to take your bitch up yonder. I thought I was going up yonder. And I didn't leave him immediately after because I was scared.
My family seemed disappointed I beat my illness. My little nephew confirmed my suspicions. I, am 47, was diagnosed with cancer about 6 months ago. I don't know what happened, but I was misdiagnosed. It wasn't malignant as the initial diagnosis. Anyway, I'm recovering. I don't know why, but it felt like Mum, F73, and sister, F35, weren't all glad about me recovering. I didn't make a fuss, but I told my GF F38 about my observation. She told me not to worry, and that they were probably still in shock. We were invited to my mum's house last Sunday, and that's when my nephew, M12, was a bit angry, and blurted out something about him thinking he was gonna be rich soon, because I was sick. It felt like a gut punch. I'm child-free, so I don't really know when people start being assholes. But it felt like he's still too young for that, so the next explanation is that he's heard the adults around him? I laughed and looked at my family. They pretended that they didn't hear. Only my GF watched me in horror. I asked my nephew why he would think he would get rich when I have my GF. He was confused. I saw my sister turn around at that announcement. My GF spent the rest on the evening holding my hand, creasing it. Mom called the day after, and she was dancing around the subject, trying to find out more. I never discussed my will with anyone, but what were they expecting? I've been with my GF for 13 years. She's the love of my life and my family. WTF is going on? I'm changing my will, excluding my nephews, who I thought I would leave some for. It's going to charity instead. So this blew up. I wasn't expecting that, and I can't thank you enough. The message is loud and clear. Marry your GF. In my defense, neither of us have ever thought about it. We're happy, and we've always seen each other as each other's family. Unfortunately, that's probably not how the world sees us, and it's sad. About the will. I'm guessing the majority of you are from the USA, but where I come from, as long as I don't have children, nobody can really contest a will. My mom would be the only person who could contest, and it wouldn't work since only children's inheritance right is protected by law, and can't be willed away. I spent all night yesterday reading your comments with my GF sleeping beside me. She woke up around 3 a.m., and smiled at me. God, I love her beautiful face. I just blurted out, "Will you marry me?" She smiled even more and said yes. And then snuggled up in my arms. I was in heaven. In the morning she asked me, "Did you propose last night?" With the biggest smile on her face, and I said yes. She said finally, with a twinkle in her eye, and then she kissed me. She then told me that she was here when I felt ready to talk about my nephew. I don't have any social media, but my GF does, and she shared that we're engaged. Mom called me 2 hours later to ask if it was a joke. She asked why now, and I didn't hold back. I told her that for the past 10 years, or so, I've been treated as a cash cow for my sister and her family. Always expected to pay. And only the most expensive things. My sister even insinuated that her oldest son, M14, is expecting a Porsche when he turns 18. And instead of acknowledging my generosity, they were disappointed that I didn't die. Mom started crying at this, swearing that it was all in my head. They're all so grateful and happy that I'm fine, but that I shouldn't forget that they're my real family. My GF is still young, and she could move on with her life should the worst happen. But that they'll always be my family. Mom said that GF also has a career of her own, and is childless, so she isn't in need. I might add that neither is my sister and her family. I told Mom, well, that my GF always been my family, and now she's becoming my family on paper too. Mom started crying again, and asked me if I'm planning to disinherit the boys now, because of a stupid comment made by a child. And if I did disinherit them, if that also meant I would disinherit my GF's niece. I told her that she should wait for me to die to find out, shouldn't she? She said there's no point talking to me when I'm like this. She begged me not to do anything stupid, and wished me good night. No congratulations. Nothing. Now what's left is to find my GF, no, my fiancé. An engagement ring. She's very simple, and minimalistic. She wants something small, and simple. Her only request is that I choose it. Please send any suggestions my way, because I'm new to this business. I will put some photos of what I've found so far on my page since this sub doesn't allow sharing images. Tell me your opinion, and give me your best rings.
Am I the asshole for letting my pregnant coworker get in trouble? I, 24 female, work an office job. I have a coworker, Ann, 28 female. Ann is currently 6 months pregnant. We have a dedicated break room where we go for lunch, as we aren't allowed to eat anything or drink anything except water bottles in the office because of the computers. We all have our own break schedules that are the same every day. Ann and I go to break together. Our lunch break is from 1:30 to 2:30. No one else is on the schedule and take their breaks earlier or later. In the break room, there's a few chairs and a couple of couches. Over the past 2 weeks, Anne has started taking naps on one of the couches during her lunch break. I know it's not my business as to what she does on her break. She can do what she wants. Last Friday, Anne and I were taking our breaks as usual. I was listening to music on my headphones, and when it was around 2:30, I got up to go back to work. I didn't really pay attention to what Anne was doing. Everyone was confused and was saying, "Where's Anne?" by around 3 o'clock because they needed her. Anne, our boss, went into the break room and Anne was still sleeping. Anne got a warning from our boss. Anne is now angry with me because our breaks end at the same time, so I should have woken her up. She said I am selfish and careless. A lot of our coworkers are on Anne's side and agree. I told Anne if she can't wake up, she shouldn't sleep during her break. She said the baby makes her tired and accused me of calling her lazy and being insensitive. Just an edit. When my break was ending, I was scrolling on my phone and listening to music. I have ADHD. When I do these things, I'm quite oblivious to my surroundings. I did not wake Anne because of malice.
Story time about when I messed up by getting way too drunk and being intimate with my grandfather. I, 21 female, and my extended family had a family reunion yesterday because we hadn't seen each other in so long. I was traveling with my mom, 48, and stepbrother, 14, to meet up with my dad and his father at his apartment. Before I go on any further, I should mention that my dad, 44, isn't my biological father, and his dad, my grandpa, is quite young, 59. My biological father left me when I was very little, and I have no contact with my family on his side. So anyway, everything was going smoothly that evening. We were having a few drinks and laughs when my mom suddenly felt unwell and had to go lay down. As this was kind of late in the evening, my dad decided to go with her. At this point, there was only me and my grandpa left at the dinner table. My brother had to go to bed early because he had early football practice in the morning. I don't know who started it, but I know that both me and him had too much to drink, and he started talking about his youth and how he used to try to pick up girls at the bar. I don't know why. Maybe because I was wasted or something, or the fact that we were sitting in a very dimly lit room, but he started to look more attractive, especially when he was talking about his youthful days. I can't even believe that I'm saying this. As I mentioned earlier, I don't know if I made the first move, but I do remember us sneaking to his bedroom, giggling and us making out in his bed, and not so much after that. When I woke up, I was alone and this feeling of sudden remorse and guilt hit me. It all felt like a horrible fever dream. I was afraid what would happen if my parents found out. I found out a couple hours ago that my grandpa had told my parents that I had fallen asleep in his bed in my drunken slumber yesterday. So he let me sleep in his bed and he slept on the couch. The plan was originally for me to sleep on the couch. I don't know what I'll do if anyone finds out about this. This is by far the worst thing I've ever done and it could probably ruin my family.
My meal must be salt-free. This story is from a dinner party I hosted before the pandemic. I invited 6 folks and shortly after the invites were sent I received a call from Sally. Sally, not her real name, advised me that she was now on a salt-free diet due to medical reasons. She advised that at home she cooked without any salt and gave me a speech about how wonderful salt-free life was. I was skeptical and advised her that I would personally find it difficult to give up all salt. Was she sure she wasn't just on a low-sodium diet? Sally advised that unless her dish was salt-free she wouldn't be attending. While telling her no was an option, I'm not that person, see my previous malicious compliance. I was pissed off at Sally for years of being difficult at the dinner table and restaurants. Trust me, there was always something wrong with her meal, or its preparation, or the flavor, or the waiter, or... With a smile so large you could hear it through the phone, I assured her that her request for salt-free was 100% going to be accommodated. On the dinner night I prepped the meal. Sally was getting the same thing as everything else with one critical difference. All of her food was prepped in separate containers, baked on separate racks, and seasoned with exactly the same flavor sans salt. Dinner time and my guest arrive. I have all of Sally's food plated on white plates. Everyone else gets gray plates. First round, appetizers. Fried calamari with a lemon jalapeno butter sauce. This dish typically has salt in both the batter and the sauce. As Sally couldn't have that, I battered her calamari in salt-free seasonings and flour. Her condiment looked exactly the same but was made with unsalted butter and no added salt. I place Sally's plate in front of her first and she immediately states she asked for salt-free. I assure her that her dish is salt-free and I made sure to cook hers separate and even use a different colored plate to keep it straight. We all sit to talk and enjoy the squid. Sally takes a bite and makes a face. Mine has no flavor, she exclaims. All of my other guests tell Sally it's divine, delicious, best they've had, etc. I smile at Sally and assure her that her dish was flavored exactly as everyone else. The only difference is that she received absolutely no salt. It's at this point that Sally has a moment of clarity. It's painfully obvious on her face. She realizes she can't complain about the lack of salt as she's already told the table about her salt-free life. She also can't claim it tastes terrible if everyone else is raving about the food. She literally looks like she was about to cry at the table. As my guests enjoy their dinner, Sally is slowly doing the toddler plays with her food munch and pushing her calamari around the plate. After a few moments she reaches for the sauce that I made for everyone else. Sally.
Be careful, the salt-free sauce is in the white bowl.
That one has salt. She mumbles something about wanting to taste the difference before literally dumping the bowl on her calamari. She then exclaims how much better it tasted. You and I know that, of course, things taste better with salt. So this drama repeated itself over the main course of honey-roasted salmon with pine nuts. I also am no heathen and had both salt and pepper on the table for my guest. I'm not going to judge you for needing more flavor. Here we go.
Sally takes a bite of her fish and once again realizes that it has no salt.
She reaches for the salt shaker and conversation stops. Another guest asked Sally if she was okay with adding salt to her food. She says that she can occasionally have salt. She proceeds to shower her fish with salt sprinkles. I also baked some cookies for dessert. The dough uses a little salt. I made sure to whip up a separate batch of cookies wrapped to go for her. Salt-free, of course. When I handed her those cookies, the look of defeat that hit her face warmed my heart. Dinner is over, everyone is happy except for Sally. I called her the next week to make sure she was okay as she's consumed sodium at my party. Sally told me her doctor has removed her sodium restrictions and she won't need that accommodation at future meals. On the phone I congratulate her for her good health. When I hang up I laugh until my sides hurt. Salt-free life apparently doesn't taste good when the salt is actually omitted. Note to any on a low or no sodium diet: for their health I commend you. Sally, however, wasn't actually on this diet. This is evidenced by her shock at how salt-free food tasted. I confirmed with her husband that she's never stopped using salt at home. Her salt-free claims were a ploy for attention that backfired tastelessly. Common question: why are we friends? Sally is married to one of my best friends. As my friend has elected to stay married to her, I have tolerated her. I wouldn't call her a friend, but we are where we are.
Am I wrong for not replacing one of my groomsmen after he cheated on a bridesmaid? My fiancé and I are getting married in 2 months. I have 4 groomsmen, including my brother, cousin, a close childhood friend, and a close college buddy. My fiancé's best friend was in a long-term relationship with him, but unfortunately for her, he got exposed as a cheater. I don't know the details of it, and honestly, I don't want to. I wasn't aware of the cheating prior to the time it was discovered. I feel that his relationship with her is none of my business. My fiancé, on the other hand, does. She now hates him and is demanding that I replace him. She said he'll be a toxic presence to our wedding because the woman he cheated on is going to be a bridesmaid. I was bothered by this. This guy is one of my closest friends. I have known him since we were 18. I want him to be a groomsman. I said that they both can go and just set aside their beef for one day. After all, the date isn't about them. It's about us, and the relationship is none of our business. She said that she was putting her foot down on this and that my friend wouldn't be in her wedding. I said that if it's that big of a deal, she can drop his ex from the wedding, and that if she doesn't want that, then we can go along with the initial plan. She's been pissed at me since and hasn't relented on this at all. So, am I the asshole?
Hi. Hi, I used to be in a cult. You might have heard of them, Jehovah's Witnesses. I went preaching door to door a lot. So here are some stories. I was 11 years old, and I was walking up to this house with a front door that had frosted glass on it. You couldn't see like details, but you could definitely see figures. I knocked, and I heard a man scream from the other side of the door asking what I wanted. I said, "Hi, my name is Jesse, and I'm just going around to all your neighbors asking their opinion on something." Then I hear this from the other side of the door. And then this man presses his bare ass onto the frosted door. I'm just 11 and looking at ass cheeks and a ball sack just pressed against the front door. Cool, I'm gonna go now. Another time I believe I was 14 and I was with a 12-year-old. We go to this door and this woman answers. She seems very nice and she invites us in, so we go in. We're talking to her for a while. She's giving us snacks and water. Then her husband comes around the corner. He says he's a youth pastor and he does not let us leave for 2 hours. We kept trying to leave and he wouldn't let us leave until we admitted that disfellowshipping is a wrong practice. I'm super brainwashed, so I'm defending all of my beliefs, of course. Several times we stood up to start making our way to the door, and then he would come and stand in between us and the door. Finally, we got out of there. We get back into the car group that the other witnesses are in that we were preaching with. They're all like, "Oh yeah, you were in there for a long time. We were starting to wonder about you." Yeah, I'm like actually a child and was in a stranger's house for hours and no one thought to like come check on us. Another time, I was 15 and was walking towards a house. Their driveway was long and made of gravel. Then I start hearing gunshots, and the gravel at my feet is flying everywhere. There is a man in his home with a rifle shooting at my feet as I'm walking to his door. He screams at me that he is a good shot and that he won't miss if he wants to hit me. "Please don't shoot me, Mr. Man. I just want to talk about Jesus." So I ran back to the car. Yeah, there's just a few stories. How about we don't send children to go knocking on strangers' doors? Huh? How about that?
Everybody's harping on me to respond, and it hasn't even been 24 hours yet, and I'm a therapist, I'm a full-time student, and y'all were overwhelming me, and so I stepped away. So story time. May 7th at 5 p.m., my family and I and some friends went to Castaway in Burbank, California. We sat down, and I saw Ned from across the way, and to be honest with you, I didn't know if it was him or not because there were some bushes, and some of y'all white men look alike. Anyway, and then I saw Alex, but I only saw the back of her head, so I was like, maybe that's his wife, like she dyed her hair, I don't know. Then she turned and I was like, oh, that's not a white woman. So then I looked at his Instagram to see maybe they got divorced. I don't know, I don't follow them, I don't keep up. Tell me why the first post I see is I love my wife, happy birthday, mother of my children, love you so much. Then I thought, okay, well, maybe they're just getting dinner as friends. I don't know. But then they started macking in front of the seafood tower, and I was like, ooh, first of all, in public. Second of all, like, it didn't look like a good kiss because it was just, yeah. And I was so shook. I wasn't recording because I was like, this man, this... And then I also was like, that's kind of weird if I record you making out. Like, that feels weird to me, and that's weird. So the only photos and like recording that I have is what like I sent and what you've seen. And to be honest with you, my family was gaslighting me a little bit, saying like, oh, that's not him, like that's not him. And I was like, no, that's him. That's Mr. Fulmer right there. And some are all like, I would have gone up to him and I'm like, where's your wife? Like, Mr. Fulmer, what's going on? Edward Fulmer. We had just gotten there. Your girl was hungry. Everyone was hungry. I wanted to celebrate. I didn't want to make a mess. And also, like, I still wasn't sure because my family was gaslighting me, but I wasn't sure if it was him, so I just recorded it just in case. So I contemplated sending it to her because I was like, is it my place? I don't know. Eventually, I came to the conclusion, like, if I was a wife, I would want to know. And that's why I made it so general, saying, like, I don't know if this is him. I don't know, what's going on. I don't know the ins and outs of your marriage, but I just wanted you to have this information. Like, do with it what you will. To my knowledge, she never responded. I don't think she's seen it. And so why I posted it was, one, now it's public knowledge. Two, if he's telling her a different timeline and she doesn't know the truth, I'm hoping that she sees this. And three, I feel justified. Like, I wasn't crazy. That was Ned. And he was doing some shenanigans. And one of y'all commented this in the comments, and I stand by it. One thing that men are always going to have is the audacity and the nerve. Every time.
When I talk to a guy on a dating app, I give him a fake Instagram of mine. This recently bit me in the arse. The reason I do this is because my TikTok is like my diary. I treat you guys like my best friend. Like, I will tell you the gory details of my hookups, jobs I've been sacked from. I have got on here and cried my eyes out that no one's ever gonna love me. I don't want men I'm dating to immediately see that. And don't get me started on if you Google me, because you're gonna see a bit of this. This is a great one for before a first date. In case you're curious on whether I'm into married men, I'm not. But Turkish news would have you thinking otherwise. So my real Instagram, because I've done like lingerie modelling and stuff, has some like quite saucy pictures on there. Which again, like, I don't mind you guys, you're my friends, like seeing that. But I don't want a guy before a first date seeing me in my underwear. This is my fake Instagram. It's just wholesome vibes in here. My guinea pigs, some food, a selfie. So I was talking to a guy on that recently and he asked what I did. I told him social media marketing, which is true. But then he took me for dinner in Ping Pong in South Bank. Lovely restaurant, robot waiters. We come out of dinner and like Ping Pong has like a glass like window. These teenage girls had obviously like seen us in there towards the end of our meal and waited outside. So they come up to me and they're like, are you Pia? Like, are you Pia Blossom from TikTok? And then they're like, are you on a date? Are we gonna be in a video? I don't get recognized a lot. This just happened to be a time where it was several really excitable girls. Cherry on the cake was them going, is this Liam? Which is the name of a different man that I've dated. Not this man! He asked me, who are you? Like, why are these girls asking for a picture with you? And one of the girls is like, she's famous on TikTok. And he asked them what my full name is, Googles me there and then. So those articles I just showed you, yeah. Then he asks, why did you give me a fake Instagram? Why do you think?
I currently run 4 successful online businesses. I am very frustrated about all the generic advice and bullshit courses out there. Here's the only advice you need. This is aimed at younger folks and those just getting started in entrepreneurship, particularly in tech. All over TikTok and Reddit, people keep throwing around all this useless advice to become successful. Wake up earlier, read more books, etc. Courses about getting an entrepreneur's mindset, that you have to hustle and work hard. All of that is bullshit. Those attributes will not make you successful. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's good to organize your life. But speaking as someone who founded 4 successful online businesses and works in a VC firm, these trendy pieces of advice are all platitudes. The best piece of actionable advice I can give, based on founding 4 successful businesses and working with other successful firms, is this. Number 1. Pick an industry or niche, and master it. This is a huge prerequisite that's not emphasized enough. Identify the industry or niche you want to enter, as specifically as possible, and become a master in it. Learn everything you can. Buy products from your future competitors. Understand the pain points that consumers in this industry face. Do market research. Figure out which keyword combinations to target. Learn about the technical attributes. The most successful businesses I've worked with all follow the same trend. They were formed by people who used to work in a specific industry as 9-to-5 employees, working for a company. They accumulated significant industry-specific knowledge, and understood pain points. Then they started their own business in this industry, targeting those pain points. Number 2. Target an intersection of 2 industries or niches. What happens if you can't pick which industry or niche to enter? Or what if your selected industry is too competitive? Do this. List what you're good at, or what you're interested in. These can be as random as you'd like. Then, pinpoint a viable intersection between 2 listed interests or skills. For example, let's say you can build websites relatively well. You're also interested in cars. As we're all aware, the web design industry is extremely competitive. And what do cars have to do with web design? Instead of entering the web design field, enter the web design field targeting automotive dealers and mechanic shops. Build a few fake demo websites for auto mechanics, and then cold call auto mechanic shops with poor websites and offer them their services. Capture the vertical. Time and time again, I've seen this trend. Person works for a corporation, in a specific industry. Person accumulates knowledge about said industry. Person leaves the company, and starts his own small business targeting a pain point that their former employer was unwilling to target.
Okay, here's a story time about how my mom was not anti-gay, but she was anti-bottom. Okay, so we're in the car. Watch the last video for reference. We're in the car. She goes, are you gay? I say yes. She goes, are you a bottom? I say yes. She goes, no. No, this can't be. She goes, Christopher, you can be gay but a bottom? I go, why does that matter? She goes, I just want you to be safe. I say, what do you mean by that? She goes, Christopher, I don't want you having to wear adult diapers. I go, Maria, stop right there. Mom, I don't think that's something to be of concern at my ripe age of 16. I don't think we have to worry about that. She goes, well, what if you prolapse? For any of us who don't know, a prolapse is your cavity, cavity going inside out, like a pink sock waving in the wind. And that's where I went silent. So far, everything is still intact, so I think we're good.